Hey everyone, this is Joe Magny, founder of Absolute Investment Training Company, where I teach people how to buy real estate without using their own money, credit, or lender, so that they can turn around and sell it for a huge profit, even if it's upside down. I do my live deals right in front of my students' face just to prove that it works for them, and makes them a little bit better about understanding how to do this when they watch me do it live. So I wanted to come back to a chart from the first video. This chart right here has a major problem on it, and this chart shows why this stuff works so well. And of course the answer, if you watch the first video, the answer was the banks. It works so well because the banks are having lots of problems. So we talked about the borrower walking in the front door in 2005, 2007 and borrowing money from the bank, and the bank could easily write the check back then. And the reason they could easily write the check is not because they had unlimited funds, but because they could easily sell off their notes out the back door to the secondary market. Okay, well, when they sell these loans off to the secondary market, they freed up their funds to be able to loan again. So now let's go into the secondary market and who those people are. All right, the secondary market is typically the ones that you saw on the news that have been falling apart. Those are the loan companies, the mortgage companies that bought these loans in 2005, 2007, bought these loans that were leveraged against property that was valued at 100, maybe 110, even 125% of their value in the height of the market, 2005, 2007. So they have money lent out against this real estate out there, these houses out there, and they're owed more than what the property's worth in the height of the market. So now let's start adding in there people starting to lose their jobs. Okay, the economy's starting to change, things aren't doing all that great, and so now people are not able to pay for those houses anymore, and so now the bank, those mortgage companies that are holding those notes, their typical thing is, well, if you don't pay, you don't stay, so then they go into the foreclosure process and they take the property back. So they spend money on doing that. They take the property back, they put it into their, what's called REO, it's an REO. Now they hand this off to a realtor and look for the realtor to turn around and sell it. Well, at the same time, the other people who owed more than their properties were worth, and they didn't lose their jobs, but they started seeing the real estate declining and the media picking up on it and talking about it. So they started looking at it and thinking, well, listen, I don't want to keep throwing money into this house. It's no longer a good investment. It's losing value. And so they decided to stop paying on their houses. Some of them just tried to sell them, get out from underneath of them, and others just decided to stop paying even though they didn't lose their job. And then still others would try to negotiate this new thing that people so misunderstand, which is a short sale. So all these different techniques to unload these houses, and who's taking the hit on it, who's taking the fall? The secondary market that bought these. Well, as all that discomfort's going on, the secondary market's no longer receiving the payments that they were receiving. So now they're not buying as much paper, as many notes from the banks. Remember the back door, the banks were selling the notes out the back door. So now they're not buying as many, which means the banks started loaning less because they don't have unlimited funds. If they can't sell off their notes, they can't lend out more money. So now it was just a perpetual wheel that just kept spinning and spinning and spinning, and it kept going. It was a snowball rolling downhill, literally, is what it was. And the problem got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so the secondary market dried up. I mean, it just completely collapsed. At one point in time, there may not have been more than 2 or 3 note buyers out there. I don't know what the real number is, but the bottom line is almost no one was buying notes anymore. So no banks were able to lend any more than the capital they could handle internal to their bank, through people putting savings there, checking there, CDs there, storing money in the bank. So the bank is loaning that money. So as far as those long-term notes, the bank stopped being able to give those loans. Well, now think back to this poor realtor who, I feel so sorry for them. They're sitting there with these properties, and then they're listing other properties with people who want to sell, and they understand two types of buyers: an all-cash buyer, which there's not too many of those, and a buyer who can go to the bank and borrow the money. Well, even if their credentials are really good to borrow money, the banks still can't write the check like they used to, or they can't write the check as much like they used to, so they've raised the standards and lowered how much they're going to lend on a property. All right, so when you add all that together, all that mayhem together, we don't need the banks, we don't need the secondary market, we don't need the realtors, we don't need any of that stuff, and we can do deals constantly all week long, every week, all the time. Okay, so I just wanted to help further that along. The first video was getting kind of long, so I wanted to just pick up where I left off in that video. All right, so now let's just jump into where we were at. To do this business, you need to what? Okay, so the first thing you need to do is understand that where the bank's problem is and how much they cannot write checks. When you can understand it and repeat it like I just taught you it, when you can explain that to your potential customers, when you can explain it to sellers, because you'll have sellers come in and they've been trying to sell their house for two years or more with a realtor. Then they've decided the realtor is not doing their job, so they're going to take it over themselves, or they're going to put it with another real estate firm and it still doesn't sell, and then they're going to try to do it themselves, and they may have heard of some lease purchase program and not really know what to do and how to do it, and then they mess that all up, or an owner finance deal, and they mess that all up, and when they mess it up, it costs them thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for not having any training in it. But when you can explain that to your customers or your potential customers and let them know why it won't sell and how much more you know, but not teach them about getting their property sold, more and more of them will either trust you down, or they'll hear what you said. Maybe they tried to sell it themselves and now they're going to try a realtor. You plant a seed, tell them, listen, you're not burning a bridge if you want to go try that. I might even try it myself. But if you have any problems and you get tired of it not selling, come back to me. I probably can help you still. So bottom line is, you understand just the need in doing this. You got to understand why the banks are not writing checks like they used to. Why isn't real estate selling so easily? Okay? So the second thing is you got to understand is you got to know how to build a massive buyers list. You've got to build a massive buyers list. Now, when I say massive, for me, it's many thousands of buyers, but I've been doing this a while. I have a staff and all that kind of stuff. You don't need all that. You're just getting started. Or if you're a seasoned veteran, you still don't need all that. You're just getting started with doing this because you never knew you should have been doing that all the time. So building a buyers list, I'd like to see you get 50 or 100 buyers in a certain specific area before you start out there making offers on property. Okay? So the next thing is you've got to learn how to think creatively. Creative thinking puts you into easy mode. When you can think creatively and you can make things happen that is not in the conventional wisdom world, all of a sudden you no longer have peers in your area. You're the leader in the industry in your area. You know how to do things that no one else does because creatively you jumped out of that box of what everybody else was doing and you started doing things that really work, and you understood why things weren't working so that you could solve the problem and make things work better. So thinking creatively. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, I'm not a very creative person. Well, you can learn how to do that with me. I do it all the time with my students. I show them, this is what the problem is, and here's what I did to solve the problem. See, a lot of people think that when a person walks in and says, I got to sell my house, that may not be the problem, selling the house. It might mean that they just need the payment off their back. It might mean that they just need somebody else in that house. It might mean that they gotta satisfy some debt somewhere that's a few $1,000s. So go and look at the problem, figure out what the real problem is, and then just solve the problem. That's creative thinking. All right. So this is a big part of our business, of being creative, and we have lots of creative things that you can learn and just mimic what it is that we do. That's why I do my live deals in front of my students' face, and then all my other deals outside of the classroom, inside of my office operation, those are all still filmed. That's what's on that 1 terabyte external hard drive, is all those filmings, and every year we do a new hard drive and another one and another one. All right, so that's how you can tell if somebody's really doing this or not. If they're not really doing this, they won't have anything like that. If they're really doing this, they'll have something like that, because it's extremely valuable. All right. So, last thing you got to understand and need is you got to understand that people have to have. Now I know you're going to say, well, there's more things than that you have to have, but truly, there's only 3 things that we really and truly have to have. We got to have food. We got to have clothing. Now I know there's nudist colonies and all different kinds of things, but sooner or later, can you imagine if they were naked all the time, going into a restaurant? Can you imagine the diseases just by sitting? And you have to have clothes. And then the last thing is shelter. You've got to have shelter. You can't live out under the stars all the time, always, constantly. So even after you die, a lot of people still need real estate that they're buried in. So the bottom line is food, shelter, or clothing. If you're in one of those industries, people always have to have that. Today we would probably think that, a cell phone or a computer is a necessity. Well, it really and truly is in, doing any kind of business or anything at home and all. I mean, heck, a kid in elementary school now needs computers. But the bottom line is, what do we really have to have? We have to have food, we have to have shelter, and we have to have clothing. So you're in an industry of shelter. All right, step 1. Now I told you this wasn't going to be a lot of steps. There's 2. Step 1, you got to build a buyer's list to get started. You got to build that buyer's list. Now let's just talk about building a buyer's list. All right, now here's several different ways that you can be building your buyer's list. One thing is, let's say that you have a house and that you don't want to sell your house unless somebody will give you a whole lot more than what you think it's worth. So the bottom line is, you can put your house up for sale looking for the price that you like to have for the house. So some people say, well, just about anything's for sale if the price is right. Well, I can't stand that, because we get people that sellers that call us and say that, and we're not interested. That's somebody that's going to waste my time. I'm trying to help people, and when I get people like that, they think that their house that's worth $100,000, they can get $350,000 because somebody said they'd like to buy it. That troubles me. But so let's say you want to sell your house. You can market your house for sale. All right. Let's say that you have a family member or a friend who wants to sell their house. You could use their property as an example and try to do it for them. You could look for other people that you don't know that are interested in selling their house and tell them, look, you're just getting started. You're just learning these new techniques, and you like to try them out on their house and see what happens, and say, if it works, great, I've helped you. If it doesn't work, then it hasn't cost you a dime. All right. So there's that. But then you can also, if you're really and truly going to be a real estate investor, you are going to be dealing with 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses most of the time. It's kind of like if it's not a 3-bedroom and a 2-bath, you don't want it at a minimum. Well, it's not necessarily true, because there's certain areas where people would rather have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, but certain areas apply to that. But everywhere, 3-bedroom, 2-bath is a popular house. So you could do a coming soon ad that says coming soon, 3-bedroom, 2-bath in a specific area, and then the ad would go along further. Now, why is it that our ads work so well and others in the conventional wisdom world don't. Well, they're trying to sell, let's take that one I was talking about in the other video, the first video. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, brick, L-shaped rancher on 5 3/4 acres. So if I was in the conventional wisdom world, I'd go, okay, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, L-shaped rancher, beautiful setting in the country of 5 3/4 acres. It's yours for $159,000. Okay, I'm just making all that up. All right. That ad will not get you phone calls in today's market. If the ad is ran like this, 3-bedroom, 2-bath in that specific area, lease purchase, owner financing, no bank qualifying, no credit check, easy financing, buzzwords like that, people are going to call that. People are calling today in response to the terms that you're offering, not because it's the right price and the right house. I can't tell you how many times buyers have never ever asked me how much I'm selling the house for. Now, we're still responsible in doing it right, but the bottom line is they don't care. If they can afford the monthly payments, they want to buy a house. They want the American dream, and that's it. So your ads are about your terms. That will get your phone ringing, building the buyer's list. And that same kind of marketing technique can happen on signs, can happen on flyers, your business card, word of mouth in places, other businesses where you talk to people who are listening to you and about your new business that you're just starting, or the adjustment to your old business that you've been doing, spreading the word for you. You can do it on social networks. You can do it on many different websites that don't cost anything to do. All right. So step one, most important thing, you got to build a buyer's list. Step two, you got to understand how to use that buyer's list. So here's what we want to do. We want to build our buyer's list, and then we want to know what we're supposed to do with it. All right? And there's some obvious stuff, and then there's not so obvious stuff. But the bottom line is, there are, I probably have, I don't know, maybe a couple of dozen different purposes that I use my buyer's list for. But in the very basic, in the beginning, I want you to understand 5. These 5 basic purposes for your buyer's list. This is what it is. Number 1, duh, the obvious, it's who we're going to sell our real estate to. Okay, no big deal, but I have to say it because it is the basic purpose of the buyer's list, so don't beat me up over that one. But let's just go to the second one. When the buyer reneges, I need to put it back in front of my buyer's list again and sell that house again. Now, this is something you may not realize. We never go back on our word. We keep our promises. We're true to our business, and whatever deal we set up, we stick with it. I never raise the price of the house. If somebody can't qualify to cash it out in this year and the value goes up, whatever I said I was going to sell it to them in this year, that's what I'm selling to them in the next year. Even though, yes, I can make more money, but no, I'm not doing that. That's not fair. That is that's gouging, in my opinion. So if I can make money at it in the first year and they can buy it at this price, in the next year, if it's not costing me any more, then I can make money, that same money, in the second year. So if they qualify for it in the second year, they still get it for the same price. But I don't go back on my word. But if my buyer goes back on their word, time and circumstances change for everyone, they'll go back on what they wanted to do. They decided the grass was greener somewhere else. They decided they wanted something different. They decided to up and leave one state, go to another country, whatever. That's their decisions. When they renege, I turn around and sell the house again to my buyer's list. So you have to realize that when you create this marketing package, let's say you've taken photos of the house inside and out, you've done a walkthrough video, you've done a drive-up video, the video is also of anything in the neighborhood. Remember, you might have buyers looking at your house that live in another country. They don't even know anything about your state, let alone what country they're living in another country. I've got families that are coming from Europe, from the Middle East, from China, from Canada, from all over the place to buy our houses. Now, that video gives them an idea of the whole neighborhood, the whole feel, not just the house. So When I build this whole package, and actually it's not me, it's my sales rep doing it, but when this whole package is built, I need to save it. Because if I ever get the house back from the original buyer, we don't have to go do it all over again. We just plug it right back in. Unless there's some major changes that have been made, and sometimes that happens by this buyer, then we want, of course, to update everything. But if it's still the same, it's still the same. Let's get it back out there and advertise immediately so that we can get another buyer in. At the same time, on my buyers list, I've got other people that wanted that house and didn't get it. This one beat them out. And if they renege, then I need to get right back a hold of them and let them know, if I haven't gotten them into another house yet, that this one's available again. Okay? Motivation. When you have a large buyers list, even a small buyers list, when you have a buyers list of people that are wanting to give you money, $2,000, $5,000, $20,000, $150,000, $80,000, $3,500, $1,800, 2 marbles, and a baseball card. Just kidding. But when you have people that are wanting to give you money, all you've got to do is plug them into the house that they're looking for. Then it motivates the heck out of you way better than Tony Robbins can ever motivate you. All right? Second thing is, in my programs, one of the techniques that I teach is the down payment growth program. I created it. Nobody else has that out there. Now people are starting to follow and starting to pick up on it. They've been following me for a couple of years and putting it into their programs and all, but I created that program. It's where people pay me their down payment up front. Then we go out, we pick their brain, we have a special form that we fill out, we pick their brain as to exactly what it is they're looking for and where and all that kind of stuff. And then we go out and we try to find that for them. That's their money that they put with us. Do I realize that they're not full of crap? They're serious about wanting the house. They've already given me their down payment and I don't have the house for them. We go out, we find the house for them, and then they go and they look at it. If they agree that is the one they want, then this applies to the down payment for that house. If it isn't, we keep looking. If something changes for them and they found a house somewhere else, has nothing to do with us, or they've changed their mind, whatever the case may be, this is their money. When they ask for it back, it's handed right back to them, every dime of it. No questions asked, no nothing. All right? So the buyer's list motivates the heck out of you. I've got, either they want to pay this money or they've already given me this money. All I got to do is now find the house that they like. Okay? This amazes me. In a lot of events out there, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to ridicule or be down on what others do, but people are sold such a ridiculous bill of goods and told all these stories that just aren't true. People are uncomfortable asking for private lenders. So if you get involved in private money, wanting to use, I have lots of private lenders. Do you need to have private lenders to do this business? No. You build a solid foundation, no money, no credit, no lender. No lender at all. Not a private lender or any type of lender. Okay? But as you grow, you're going to want to bring some private money in every now and then. All right? But if you just walk out and you tell the average person, your doctor, your family members, your neighbors, other people that seem to have money that they might want to invest, and you just walk up to them and go, hey, I'm a real estate investor, and if you lend your money with me, I'll pay you X number of percent. I wonder if those people have been watching the news, and the news has been saying how bad the real estate's in the toilet right now. Most people will look at you and go, there is no way that I would ever get involved in a real estate deal right now, because real estate, most of the realtors are working at Lowe's, Home Depot, fast food, or sitting at home waiting for the economy to change. Why? What makes you so special in the real estate world that I would want to trust putting my money with you? Well, now let's think about this private lender that I had a conversation with. Now, let's just say I'm not me. This is a student talking. I have 800 buyers on my buyers list. I cover the south side of our town, and I have 800 buyers. Here's what the average buyer can pay me a month. Here's what it will cost me a month if I borrow money from you, and I have several backup buyers that would like to move into that house in the event one of my buyers or the second one reneges on the deal. Oh, you're telling me that you can keep paying me my interest no matter what? No matter what. You have this system in place that makes sense, and it's solid and secure and safe, and I can continue to get my interest from you every month, and now you get a good chance. Not every one of them are going to do it, but you have a good chance of those people being a private lender when you can show your system and your buyer's list. But remember, be cautious. Don't share too much. You don't want to teach them how to do your business. All I'm saying is they got to understand that their money is safe. And most of these people right here that you're talking to probably are not interested in doing this business anyway. They've got something else that they're doing. But bottom line is, when they understand that you have a system and their money is safe and secure, and you understand why banks are not working too well, and you also, one big point, you also always want to know what it is that banks are paying out there right now in typical CDs. So go out there and make sure in your area that you know what that is. I'll tell you right now in my area, for a 5-year CD, my banks within my area typically somewhere around 1.5 to 1.75%, so way under 2%. Okay, so now if you're paying way under 2%, and I can offer up 5, 7%, why wouldn't the private lender want to go with that if they're comfortable and secure with a system? With the credibility up, you being way more savvy, understanding that there is a problem, you're acknowledging the elephant in the room, the problem that banks aren't lending, realtors can't sell, all that kind of stuff. But you have a system and you have a program that pays no matter what. They're way more likely to lend you the money. Okay? Now you don't have to look like a fool asking for them, because they all think you've lost your mind. Okay? The last thing of the 5 basic purposes, and again, these are only basic purposes. The last thing of the 5 basic purposes of the buyer's list is to determine value on your real estate. There's no way that I want to use a comparative market analysis or a broker's price opinion or an appraisal to determine value. Is it an indicator? Yes, it is. I use it as an indicator. I have comps programs where we pull comps. I just have to have an idea of what this property is worth in the conventional wisdom world. But whether I'm going to get involved in the deal or not has nothing to do with all that. What it has to do with is, can I make money off this deal based on the buyers that want a house like that in that area? So I typically look for, I focus on what the monthly payment is. If the monthly payment that my buyers are telling me is, let's say, between $1,200 and $1,500 a month for a house like that in that area, and I can take over this house for $800 a month, I'm in. I want the house, I'm going to control the house, and I'm going to stay in that game. Now remember, that difference right there between $800 and let's just say $1,200, let's say my buyer's $1,200, that $400 positive cash flow is above what the house cost. $800 is taxes, insurance, maintenance, upkeep, homeowner association fee, any other kind of maintenance fee, or fire protection, or any of that stuff. The total cost together, I want at least $300 or more above that amount. So when I determine value using my buyer's list, that's how I'm determining whether it's worth it for me to get involved. Now let's just say that my buyers are saying they can afford $1,200 a month for a house like that in the area, and the house costs $1,200 a month. I'm still going to try, because worst case I'll get out of that house putting it under a contract is more buyers. But I'm going to try and see if I can get a buyer that's going to be able to handle $1,500, $1,600 a month in it. If I can, and more interest behind that buyer, then I'm still in. If I can't, then that's a typical assignment. I'm not going to buy it, I'm not going to stay in it, I'm just going to take the down payment money and assign that to the end buyer who's actually buying it, and let them buy it directly from the seller. Then I'm going to clear it with the seller first, and then I'm going to clear it with the buyer, and then that's what we're going to do. 5 basic purposes of how to use your buyer's list. Extremely important. The most important thing. Here's a good analogy. My daughter loves, my teenage daughter loves horses. Picture a horse pulling a cart. Now picture the cart is the real estate and the horse is the buyer. The cart goes nowhere without the buyer. The buyer is always in front of the cart. The buyer always comes first. You always look for buyers first, and then you plug them into your deals. If you're going out there and making an offer on a house and taking over a house and you don't have a clue who's going to want that or sell it to or anything in the beginning when you're first starting out, you're going to look really, really foolish. And a lot of people's events get you to do that. Go out there, get the house under your control, and now we've lit a fire under your butt for you to try to get it sold, and we're going to burn the bridges, and we're going to set the ships ablaze, and you're stranded until you get that house sold. And if you don't, your reputation of this brand new real estate investor who learned all these cool tricks is in the toilet. Just like the banks are. Just like the realtors are that can't sell. You're not able to sell, you're not able to do anything, and you don't have anything cool to offer in the beginning. When you build your buyers list first, now you've got something cool to offer. You can use it as a leverage tool. You can show people, listen, I don't think we can get $1,200 a month, but we're going to give it a try, and I'm going to drive my buyers list there. And I had 40 buyers looking at it in a weekend, and now the seller is convinced that they can't get what they were trying to get out of the house. Okay? Just telling you. All right. Common myths. Myth number 1. Uh-oh. It takes money to make money. Okay? Now listen. I've heard that for years, and it's true. It takes $10 to make a lot of money in real estate. So it does take money to make money. But it does not take thousands or hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to make money. And it doesn't take tens of thousands of dollars in training to go out there and start making money. Here's my concept on my training. And this is all a free series here. I'm not trying to sell you anything here. But the bottom line is my concept is this. If you ever do decide to buy anything, any training from me, my training is governed around when you go make money off of what I've taught you, whether it was free or it made you a little bit of money, you might decide, you know what, that was pretty damn good. I made some good money off of that. For that little bit that I spent, I'm going to go back and buy some more training to learn how to make more money and help more people and service my community even better from that training because it was so valuable what I did. I don't operate under the principle of let me suck as much money as I can out of people until they don't have anything left to give, and then I kind of ignore them after that. There's no way. No, I can't. I operate my business under the principle of if I see you in the mall, in a hotel, in a public, wherever I see you at, I don't want to feel like, oh my gosh, I got to go hide and not shake your hand or something. I want to feel comfortable and confident that we're going to have a nice handshake or hug or whatever, and I'm happy to have represented you and proud to have worked with you and helped you and serviced you further. So that's my concept. No matter what, even people that come from these other training programs cry and moan and complain. It's so hard to. I've seen mentors that are teaching and getting paid to teach people how to do real estate investing come to me and say, it's so hard to sell real estate. They don't have a clue how to sell real estate. It is not hard to sell real estate. You don't offer your places up for sale with a price. Number one, if you put a price on it, let's say you put $160,000 on it, and somebody is out there searching for property for sale and they put in that they can afford $150,000, is your property going to pop up in front of them? No, it's not. Well, yeah, but they can't afford mine because mine's $160,000, not $150,000. Yes, that's true in the conventional wisdom world. But what if they got $50,000 they can put down and they can afford $2,000 a month? Can they afford your $160,000 house? All day long and twice on Sundays. You damn skippy they can. It is not hard. You just have to be a little bit creative and think about. But if you plug in that number, when they search and they plug in a number that they've searched, your properties will never pop up. How about they can't afford it? They can only afford a $60,000 house and yours is $250,000. And you put the $250,000 in and they searched and they didn't find you. That's the end of it. But if you didn't put the price in and they found you, they can't afford it, but maybe mom and dad wants the property too. They can afford it. Or their rich brother, or their friend. That's exactly what Wilma and John were looking for, or whatever. You want your message out to as many people as possible, whatever it is you're doing. Selling real estate, you want your message out. Okay? I need a staff, office, or anything else that you hear me say that I have. I need that to get started. It's a myth. It's not true. Now, I don't think that it's very professional, and I hear people say this, I don't think it's a good idea to go sit in Denny's at the dinner table and try to do a real estate deal, or McDonald's or another restaurant. I hear people say that, and I know people have done it, and there's really not a whole lot wrong with it. But in today's economy, and I keep my finger on the pulse of the market by the hour, so in today's economy, what I recommend to my students just getting started who don't have an office or a staff, what I recommend they do is they look for someone who does have an office, who might rent a room to them, sublease a room to them, or just let them use their conference room for an hour and they pay for that hour of use. You don't have to have a staff, you don't have to have an office building, you don't have to have all that stuff, but the closer you have to that kind of image, the more credibility you get. It's kind of like the day you go and buy a business card, your credibility just jumped a little bit. Just by spending $100 on 1,000 cards. When you have a business phone and not just a personal phone, credibility. When you have a website, credibility. When you have an office that you can meet at, credibility. When you have other people working for or with you in your credibility. Credibility. There's plenty of stuff going on here. But the bottom line is, look for creative ways to have what you need, but don't do something that looks kind of funky. And saying, yeah, we'll meet at McDonald's and sit at the table there where everybody can hear everything you're saying. No. There's people out there right now that would love to let you rent their conference. You could do this deal with a realtor that you might be doing business with. You can do this deal with a real estate attorney. You can do this deal with people who own office complexes and half of their complex is empty. You could have 2 or 3 different businesses that marry up with you and you all rent one unit that has separate rooms in it. There's a lot of different ways that you could do this to have that credibility. All right? And I also don't recommend that you try to do this at your house. Now, you're going to have a lot of really good people. Most of the people are going to be really good. Buyers, sellers, happy to deal with you and everything. But there's a bunch of strangers coming. Do you want all these strangers coming up to your personal house? Maybe not. Okay? All right. I'm not trying to scare you. I mean, that's true with anything. You know, do all of us want a whole bunch of strangers coming up to our house all the time? Of course not. All right. Next myth is tenants cost you money. All right. They can if you're too nice of a guy. Now, you're nice and you're helpful and you're trying to solve the problem, but you got to draw a line in the sand. And trust me, I have probably the biggest problem of anybody I know with that issue right there. I am way too lenient on people. I let them get away with too much. And I've said it 100 times and I haven't done it yet. What I need is a big-haired lady who's used to managing a trailer park to handle tenants when they start to try to step over that line. I feel like that would be ridiculous to do that. But sometimes they try to step over that line and you're just trying to be so nice and friendly and you're still trying to help. Because my number one purpose is to serve people. I don't say that to try to make money off that or try to impress you. That's really me, inside of me. That's what I love. I know it comes across because people tell me all the time, Joe, you never have to worry about anybody thinking that you're not genuine. I am. I really feel the way that you think I do right now. That's really me. But tenants don't cost you a lot of money as long as you put a couple of safeguards in place. There's a line that they cannot come across, and that's it. If they're a few days late, they get a letter. A little bit more, the attorney sends them a letter, and then after that, they got to go. You decide how you want to run your business, but you got to control that. Now remember, the way you design your business, in the event that they didn't keep up with what they said they were going to do, when that ugly situation happens, it's, for us, in our business, it's set up as a cha-ching. We make a lot of money off of it, but the bottom line is you can use that money however you want. If you want to help them out, by all means. I've done it many times. If you want to forgive. If you want to say no, daggone it, right is right, wrong is wrong, and they will step way over that line and that's it, you're in control of that, okay? Now let's jump over here to the secrets that kind of relate to these. Okay? Building a buyer's list. Building a buyer's list makes you make money. The buyer's list, I keep talking about it. It's not a big secret anymore because I've already let that cat out of the bag, but the buyer's list is where 80% of your money comes from. Where's the other 20%? We'll talk about that in another, that's not for this series here. It's a whole other series where I'd be talking for a long time on that. But 80% of your income comes from your buyer's list. So it takes money to make money, $10, and the way that you're making money is off of your buyer's list. Plugging buyers into houses that they couldn't buy through conventional means because the banks can't write checks right now. So plugging those buyers into your deals is where you're going to make the money. All right? It's not hard to sell if you acquire it under the right conditions. If I take over a house and say, yeah, I'll take that house over, I can have it subject to, you're going to just sign it over to me, it's worth $200,000 and they owe $400, the monthly payments are $4,000 a month, and I got buyers that'll pay me $2,000 a month, I didn't acquire it right. Now, if I plug in an option to purchase, I put a contract on it, I am trying to buy this house, I want to buy this house if there's a market for it, so I'm going to go out and see if there's a market for it. So I'm going to look to see if there's interested buyers that can handle how much this house costs and me make money also. And I find out that I can't find buyers that can afford that house. But I can find a buyer that can handle half of the payment and tell the seller, listen, this is the best I can find, at least I can get half the payment off you a month, and let the seller decide from there, and that buyer have $5,000 to put down. I can take the $5,000, assign it to the seller, and let the seller and the buyer deal between them. It's got nothing to do with me anymore. And I didn't acquire it, but I did it right. Because that house, the market spoke and said, there's no room for you to stay involved. And typically what I say to them is, the house can't afford for me to stay in this deal. So if the house can't afford me to stay in, I still want to help you, Mr. Seller. Here's what we can do. I can plug this buyer into you and let this buyer take over my position of buying that house directly from you. So I sell my position to the buyer for the buyer to buy it directly from the seller. Okay? So it's a little secret there. Acquire it right, and it's not hard to sell it off. Okay? Now this is a big one. Beginner's events. I'm just putting a big X in there. You got exposed to me somehow. Somehow you found me. Most of the events out there, 98, 99% of them, when you go to the event, it's a sell-a-thon. You're going into the event thinking that you're going to learn how to make a bunch of money in real estate. And you're going to learn some tips, some secrets, some things that worked in some economy. Or maybe they've heard me talk and they're teaching you what works, some things that they've heard that works in this economy. Have they really done it? No. Do they know all the step 1 through gazillion of it takes to do it, whatever the process is? No, they don't. But here's the big warning for you. In these beginners events, it's all about getting you to be sold, getting a captured audience, sitting in front of a group of people that are going to try to continue to sell and sell and sell. Now, I don't have a problem with that. I want people being offered all different kinds of things out there, but not in a beginner event. down the road, when you're a little bit savvy, when you're making some money, you've learned some techniques to make some money, and now we'll put other things and other people's products and services in front of you so that you can make intelligent decisions. Not saying that a beginner's not intelligent, but they're not aware of the whirlwind that goes on. But in a beginner event, I believe the event should be structured around the teaching that was told was going to happen in the event, and not 6 other people with 6 other programs with 6 other shiny object directions put in front of them to suck a bunch of money out of them, and now get them all confused in, well, should I do this, or should I do that, or should I do that? I'm confused, I don't know what to do. Or should I take a whole bunch of advanced training before I've done the basic stuff yet? No. Beginner event is for beginners. You stay in that event, you do that event, you get those techniques down, you take that same event 2 or 3 times, you get it down, you understand what you're doing. I give a huge discount when people come back to my events, but you get those systems down before I will allow you to take my advanced stuff. That's the way you take care of people. You watch out for them, you help them. So beginners events, watch out for them out there all over. You come to mine, it's called Jumpstart Your Business Bootcamp. Nobody else is getting on that stage to sell you anything. I got a couple people that get on stage to tell you about stuff they can do for you to help you make money, but that you don't pay them for it. Okay? Actually, they pay you. All right. Now, this last secret, you got to understand, I talked about it a little bit before, you got to understand there's a huge difference in the psychological makeup of an individual that is a renter mentality. I got 1 month's rent, and I've got half of that in a security deposit. All right? Or the best landlord thing possible, which is still a renter mentality, is I got first month, last month, and security deposit. I don't want that mentality in my houses. I want people that want to buy. They want to own the real estate. They want to love it, fix it, make it the way they want it. If there's anything that needs to be fixed, or improve it, they want to take it under their control and make it better and make it theirs and own it forever. That's what the day they move in, their feelings are. Now, time and circumstances change, and the average buyer moves, I think it's like every 3 to 5 years now. It used to be like 7 years. Now it's, I don't know, 2 to 3 or 2 to 5 years, something like that. But bottom line is, I don't want renters. I want people that are buying. So even though they're leasing it from me, if they don't have a good enough down payment, enough skin in the game to make me comfortable to sell it to them directly and let them have the deed, I want them to have the mentality that they're working towards buying this, not just renting it. So they take care of it better. The chances of them leasing this, being a lease purchase buyer, of them taking care of it better than a renter mentality is astronomical. Now, will everyone be perfect every time? Of course not. I'm not trying to tell you it's a perfect world. But bottom line is, significantly stacks the deck in your favor when you have a lease purchase buyer mentality instead of a renter mentality. It's all about the way you market and who you allow in your properties. Now, I do farm a few buyers in my properties. I'll farm a few buyers from a few rental properties where it's strictly for rent. Okay? A couple more myths and secrets. License. You do not need a real estate license to sell real estate that you own. You do not need a real estate license to sell a contract that you own. So that's the end of that myth. Is it helpful to have a real estate license? Yes and no. You have to decide for yourself. Yes, it is helpful to have a real estate license that gives you access to the MLS, look at expired listings, you've got camaraderie with other realtors because you are a realtor, you got a common bond there. So having a license and being an investor simultaneously, it's got its benefits from that perspective. Are you into some issues where you should be acting as a realtor and an advisor from that perspective and not as an investor? Can that get in the way? Yes, it can. Can you run into a whole bunch of people that are already disappointed with what realtors aren't being able to do with them, and they don't understand that it's not the realtor's fault, it's the banking industry's fault? But you have that tagline attached to you, those credentials attached to you that you're a realtor, and yes, you're supposed to reveal that you are a realtor when you're talking to them. And so will you kill some of your deals by being a realtor? Absolutely. So you have to decide which way. You got to kind of balance that out and decide. I have never desired to have a real estate license, not interested in it at all, haven't needed it. My outside sales rep used to be a realtor. We inactivated her license and it stayed inactive. I guess that's enough on that one. All right. Training money. It does not take tens of thousands of dollars to learn how to do this. I'll tell you the worst case I saw. I saw a lady that spent over $250,000 and not being able to do one successful deal. Brilliant lady. She has a master's degree. I think she has 2 master's degrees. She was a teacher of some sort, a professor of some sort, no, a college instructor of some sort. But brilliant lady, very sensible. She's one of those type that wasn't a thinker brain. She could finish your sentence when you were talking. She didn't psychoanalyze stuff, but she just got sucked into a whirlwind of chasing every shiny object and got what I call info paralysis. She got so much information that she was paralyzed and didn't know what to do with the easiest, simplest little pre-kindergarten deals because she had too much knowledge in her mind. I know another lady that's just like that too, that's a family member of a person who's been teaching for a few decades the real estate investing, just has way too much knowledge shoved into her head and makes it so complicated, and the deals are so much easier than that. So I call that info paralysis. But you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money on training. What I recommend, you spend a little bit on training. You do some deals. The stuff you're getting here for free from me, you should already get started with. You should get some deals set up. Possibly make some money off of it. Probably will. And then take that money, if you really want to do this stuff and you like what happened, then spend some money on some training to get better at it and to make more and more things happen positive for you, to reach out there and help more and more people. Okay? Secrets. It's mine. Now, this is actually referring to what I said earlier about the license. If it's mine, if I own it, or if I own the contract. But one more thing I want to say about it. If I'm controlling it and I can help someone and there's something really bad that someone needs, seller or buyer, what have you, and they deserve the help, it's mine. I can help them and take a burden off of them, solve a problem, and I may not make anything. But did I just get a blah, 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 blah person? Yes, I did, over and over again. Let's say that under the it's mine, it's a second mortgage that I've taken back. Let's say that I own some paper on a piece of property. I took over the responsibility of $150,000. The house is worth $200,000. I sold it for $200,000, and the buyer, went out to get qualified for the loan and only could borrow $170,000. All right. So I took over for $150,000. They got $170,000, so I've made $20,000, and they still owe me $30,000. Now, I could look at that person to go, okay, well, listen, you can't give me the other $30,000, so let's take it back in paper again. So I'll take back a $30,000 note instead of a $50,000, and make his payments whatever he can afford, or she. Maybe it's $500 a month, maybe it's $200 a month, maybe it's $25 a month. Whatever it is, it's mine. I get to choose. I don't have to follow anything else that the banks would do or anybody else. It's mine. All right. Now, the other thing I love to do is, if the person has done everything they're supposed to do, I got a history of them being Johnny on the spot, doing, every hoop we ask them to jump through, they jump through it gladly. They can only borrow the $170,000 against it, and they can't come up with the rest of the money. I might just say, you know what? Don't worry about it. Merry Christmas. How many times I've done that, I can't tell. I can't count them. it's just mascara down the arm again, and it's just such a great feeling, that self-worth I was talking about in the very beginning of the first video. You just feel so good about what you did. I made money off of it. How much is enough, and when is enough enough? I made money off of it. They did what they were supposed to do, and I can reach out and help. Now, is it smart from that direction to make me feel good? Yeah. It motivates the hell out of me to do a whole bunch more out there. At the same time, is it a wise business move? Well, I ask you a question. How many people do you hear talk good about their mortgage company a year or 2 or 3 or 5 after they have bought their house? I'll guarantee you that most of these people, when we do that, some of them just won't. They expect it or something. But most people are genuinely appreciative of it and will blah, 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 blah about your business. So I could get 5 deals out of doing something as generous as that. So I'm not doing it to get the 5 deals. But I do want them blabbing about how good it is to work with my company. So I can reach out, help more people. Yes, I'm not a charity organization. I make money doing what I do, but I can reach out to more people. And that's what I'm trying to do. All right? Remember my mission. Okay. Number 6. Free sites. When you look at how much people charge on the training, when you look at how much people charge on the training, and you look at all the programs that you can pay for out there to do certain things for you that are free to do yourself. All you need is a good teenage kid around you that's not afraid of doing some things online and doing some things, by the way, through your telephone too. Some apps, some texting things. There's a lot of free stuff out there that you can take advantage of. And this is free right here, right now. You're getting more content here than most people's 2 and 3 events that you go to. This is some good stuff right here. But bottom line is, there's free sites out there. It's not really a secret, but you do have to watch out. Some of these are just designed to sell you a bunch of stuff. Be careful of that. Everybody's going to try to sell you something, and that's fine. As long as you're confident with the person who's trying to sell you that they really do what they're teaching you how to do, and that so does their staff. By the way, all of my staff, except for one, are real estate investors. I insist on it. They all have to have their own business doing what it is that they're exposed to me learning how to do. They have to have their own business. And I'll tell you how serious I am about that. My wife's maid of honor in our wedding when we got married many years ago, she came to work with us for a while. I love her so much. She's such a warm person, but it was in the position of the office manager, exposed to all this training. I gave her 2 years to do some real estate, and I promised to help her with it. But I could not ever get her motivated to do anything at all along those lines for herself. She just wasn't going to do it. I can't have that image in my training company. So we had to part ways, and we parted as good friends, and emotional hug and everything. But the bottom line was that I'm serious. When people come to my operation, it's real. And all the people that are in my operation, except for this one, happens to be a family member that there's a lot of turmoil going on, and she's just happy doing what she's doing for us, and that's it. She's a data input person for us mostly, and takes some phone calls for us. But everybody that's in my operation are real estate investors and have their own businesses doing this. So, all right, let's get into building your foundation. Step 1 of building this foundation. It's a foundation of who is it you're helping. Remember, it's not a foundation of just doing steps 1 through 25. What it is it's who am I helping and why am I helping them? And when I understand that, then I know how to market my business, and I know how to solve problems. And I know how to point out the problems that I can solve to get other people to help me do my business. All right, so the neighborhood. All right, I can help neighborhoods. So imagine this. The house that's for sale and no one cares about it anymore. They moved out. Maybe they gave it back to the bank. They can't get it sold, or the bank hasn't taken it back and the payments haven't been made in 6 months. Well, if the payments haven't been made, the people moved out, is the lawn being taken care of? Of course not. So now the grass is knee-high to a grasshopper. There's broken windows and doors. Kids can run in and out and get hurt. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's an eyesore, and it takes the value of everyone else's houses down. All right, so we're helping the neighborhood by taking over that house and getting someone in it that loves it. Now, are we going and doing all the work on it? Absolutely not. We are not. Okay? Number 2, homeowner association fee. Are the taxes being paid? Is the insurance being paid? Is the homeowner association being paid? Well, if the mortgage isn't being paid, probably that stuff's not either. Okay? So, homeowners association fee. City and county. So back to the taxes. Is the taxes being paid? Is it an eyesore? Is it taking the value down of the entire city or county, or at least that neighborhood? Is it affecting everybody? If the taxes aren't being paid, then that means everybody else has got to cover that expense. So if 30% of the houses or real estate is not paying taxes, then that means 70% of the people are carrying 100% of the burden. Okay? So imagine the police officer who's called on this house that's been vacant for 6 months, the door and window's broken. At 2 a.m., there's no power. Somebody saw something strange around that house, and the policeman has to go walking through that dark house. Imagine that. When we put somebody back in this house again that loves it, and regular upstanding citizen again, taking care of the house, caring about it, that policeman's not walking through that house. Okay? Is it the next possible meth lab, which can affect these guys right here? All right? So, kids, are they going to get in here and get hurt, get in trouble, cause problems, maybe mess around with what they shouldn't be messing around with, whatever it is, drugs, sex, alcohol, smoking, anything else? Is that going on possibly with the vacant house that kids are able to get in and out of? Are the police having to get involved in that also? It's a mess. Building the foundation of showing that you can solve these problems in your neighborhood. You can get city councilmen, you can get city managers, county managers, you can get the police chief, you can get the mayor, you can get a lot of people involved. You can get the media involved in what you're doing good for your community, all right, or what you have to offer. Okay, how about the note holder? It can be a private lender, it can be a mortgage company, it could be the local bank that has the note on this house. It's not being paid. What if you can jump in before it gets behind, or even if it is behind, catch it up with, let's say you got a $50,000 down payment buyer and it's 6 payments behind and it's $1,000 a month. Do you have $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 you can throw at that house of the 50 grand down payment to catch up everything and then just make monthly payments on time again? Did you just help out the note holder? Why did they give the loan to begin with? To get the interest. So did you help them out tremendously? Okay? There's many more local businesses. Let me give you a few examples. Insurance companies, home remodelers, landscaping companies, house cleaning businesses, the supply houses that sell, material that fixes the house, cleans the house, makes it smell better, creates curb appeal, all different kinds of things like that. There's so many businesses that get helped by you being involved. How about the attorneys that get to do more closings when you're involved? How about the staff that works with those attorneys? If there's any realtors involved, sometimes there will be a realtor involved who gets a piece of this. Just think about it. There's tons and tons and tons of local businesses, like I said, going across America with an army of investors leading the way to solve America's problems. And here's where it goes, all through all these different businesses. This is more well, actually, I guess you could think about taxes. Their income comes from taxpayers. But the bottom line is there's a lot of different people that we can help at the national level and the local level. All right? So when you take all this and you plug it into your business as understanding that, a good, strong, solid foundation, and feeling good about what it is you're doing for everyone, then it's a win, 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 win times 10. So they're affected. If you aren't involved, they're affected. If you are involved, they're affected. Who all can you affect? I just look at this win-win-win times to the 10th degree. I guess it's not supposed to have the X up there, but who cares? It's astronomical figuring out how you can continue to keep helping the community and everything involved with it by being able to creatively make a deal happen anyway. It's not just the seller, it's not just the buyer, and it's not just the one professional that you're talking to. So, next thing I want to do is show you a six-figure income to start. So this is just starting this business, and when I point this out to you, it's not hard to do immediately, right away. The only person that's going to stop you is that one looking at you in the mirror. Okay? Let's go to the path to a six-figure income in Alaska. All right? The path to whatever number, six figures. Okay? So level one, I know that's a little bit of jumbled up writing, I don't even know if I can read it, but level one, we'll see, we'll give it a try. All right, let's roll our sleeves up a little bit better here. Level one, you're in and out quickly. You're doing an assignment, and you're going to do one per month, and let's just say you make $5,000 each on those. Now you tell me, have you ridden down the street and seen any houses that have not sold in the past year or two or three? If there's houses out there for sale that aren't selling in your neighborhood, just like the rest of the neighborhoods all across the United States, and you get involved where you can find someone who can just handle the payments on the house, and they've got $5,000 put down. Now you're going to find buyers that have $3,000, you're going to find buyers that have $15,000, $25,000, $80,000 down payment. All I'm talking about is one of those per month that you plug in that almighty buyers list to, find one that's willing to pay, that can handle at least what the monthly payments are, and you've made $5,000 off that by just assigning your contract to buy that from them. All right, so that's $5,000 for each one. So in 12 months, that's $60,000 a year, just that one technique. Now the truth is, you can do dozens of those a month if you really focused on it. But let's just leave it at one a month. Okay? Is this already changing your life right here? All right, level two. You're going to hold it longer. You're going to hold it for up to 2 years. This is going to be, you're going to have one of these every other month. Instead of just assigning it and being out of it, you're going to continue to hold it. And you're going to make an average of $30,000 profit off of it. And you're doing one of those every other month, but I'm calculating it out for 2 years, not just 1 year. So that means every other month means you're doing 6 of those a year. So I'm just taking half of that. So that's $90,000 in a year. All right? Then you can look at that. That's one of these that you're going to hold and make $30,000 off of every other month. One every other month. All right, now level three. You're going to hold these for longer periods of time, 2 to 4 years, or maybe even longer than that. One of those per year where you can make $100,000 off of it, average profit, and then I took that and divided it by 4 years, so that's another $25,000 per year off of it. So if you add those together right there, that's $175,000 per year. Okay? All three of these right here are very easy to do. Now this might take you 4 years to collect this. That's okay. I just average it out for 4 years at $25,000 a year. In the fourth year, you might get the $100,000. In the first year, you might get the $100,000. In the second year, you might get the $100,000. I average it out 4 years, $25,000. Make sense? Okay? But all three of those are easy to do. And one per month means you're working 5 hours a week. That's all you're doing to get one of these per month. All right? Okay? Now, increase your knowledge. You're going to double your deals. Now, you're going to learn more techniques. More techniques. When you increase your knowledge, you're going to learn more techniques that you can do besides just those couple of 3 different things. You're going to learn more techniques on more creative marketing ideas to get more deals coming in and more buyers coming in. Okay? So increase your knowledge. You'll double your deals. That goes from 175 to 350 per year. All right. Now bring in some help. All right. This is something when I did a lot of construction, this is one thing I used to point out to people. When one person's doing a job and you add a second person to doing that job with that person, you've tripled, not doubled, but tripled the efficiency. If you've never done it, just go up and down a ladder 20 times in an hour. Getting something back up and down, up and down, up and down. It wears you out. You're flat worn out. You can't work the rest of the day, or you can't work for another. You got to take an hour break between the next hour of going up and down 20 more times. Have that second person on the ground hand you stuff so that you don't have to go up and down the ladder all the time. It triples your effort. Does that make sense? So same thing happens in an office operation where, you know, everybody doesn't love to do every single thing. Each person's got their own thing that they like to do, and some people might have several things, but if you take and put one good staff person in place in your business that does the things that they like to do, but that you don't want to do. So you find people, you figure out what it is you don't like to do in the business, and then you find people who like to do that. When you put them in place, you'll triple or quadruple your efficiency because it's something you really don't like doing anyway. And when you find somebody who does, it's going to be way more efficient, way better. So one good staff person will triple your income. Triple this income right here. I don't know if I did that right or not. I don't think that's right. But anyway, it's over $1 million a year. Just simply taking the things that I did here, increase the knowledge, then throw a staff person in there. And oh, by the way, we have programs that teach your staff for you. They come in and they shadow my staff that's actually doing what it is that we're teaching you how to do. And so they shadow that staff member of whatever it is. Like if you want to learn outside sales, you want to learn acquisition, whatever it is you want them to learn. But they will be with my staff member for 2 solid days all day long doing nothing but what that staff person does. All right? So that's your path to 7 figures. All right? Now, it's uh-oh time again. Love that uh-oh time. All right. Now let's just talk about it for a minute. I'm going to tell you, if you're brand new hearing this, or if you're not brand new to this business, but you're hearing things that either maybe you knew you should have been doing, and now I'm just re-emphasizing it that you should be doing it and pointing it out to you, or if you were successful and now you're not, and you're having trouble and you're trying to figure out what it is, and now you're starting to realize that there's something different here that I'm saying than you've ever realized before. Whoever you are, when you start talking to your family or friends out there, watch out for this. People are going to listen to what you're saying and think you've lost your mind. You can buy a house without using any money, credit, or lender? Sounds like a scam to me. Or this typical one. If it sounds too good to be true, it must not be true. What a load of crap. Come, watch, learn, see it live, and then tell them you're stupid. Whatever you want to tell them. But the bottom line is, watch out for the dream stealers. They could be on the television. Just don't let people take you down the road of disbelieve in everything I just taught you. Disbelieve in everything isn't the way that I thought it was. It was a great story, whatever the case may be. But beware of these dream stealers. The next video is going to be a little different. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down with some of my students that are not educated out there in many different programs. They're just my basic program. I don't want to take my really fancy advanced students and put them in front of you. I want to take the basic ones, put them in front of you, and let you, I'll ask them some questions that I know you'll want to know the answers to, and you'll get to see what it is they've been doing and how it's been working for them, and I'm going to try to pry out of them the problems they're having also, because you can't have a business without having problems also. That's why I covered them in the beginning, to show you that these are the problems, these are the things you got to watch out for. And I think you'll be well entertained. So I hope you've enjoyed this free series so far. It's not done yet. We're going to keep on going. Please post your comments and your questions below. Again, I'm going to personally answer as many as I can, and be looking forward to video number 3, where you're going to see some live stuff, some real things, some real students, and what's been going on for them and how it's changed their lives. And I get a little bit emotional, so I have to kind of be careful, but it's just really cool to reach out and help people that direction too. We can help our buyers, we can help our sellers, and I love helping people learn how to do this so that they can go out and help me make a difference in the world. So go out there and try to make a difference the best you can now, but look forward to this next video coming here shortly. I'm Joe McNamee. Take care.